Good morning. About to say good morning, Vietnam. What a film that was. What a film that was. Love that film. Ooh. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live. I don't know what the hell is going on with that microphone this morning, but it is seemingly going in and coming out. Pacer, hello there. John, hello there. And CJ, hello there. Right, look, it's good morning. John says, did Craig Robertson cop the flack for Hamza Igman's passport gate and that's why he's leaving? I don't think so, John. I think he's just heading off for a new adventure and a new start. I think it's rats deserting a sinking ship. That's what it looks like at the moment anyway, mate, doesn't it? A bit of a rats deserting a sinking ship when it comes to Rangers at this moment in time. It is a little bit of a crisis there as regards Craig Robertson. And I don't know, maybe I can't see that being the reason why he's been got rid of, or he's not been got rid of, is it? He's leaving off his own back. So, hey, who knows? Morning, Michael. How you doing? Look, we're going to talk obviously about the upcoming month. We are obviously stuck in the boring international break. A lot of games tonight, an awful lot of games tonight in the Nations League. For those of you who are interested, there is Nations League football tonight. You know, Nations League does kind of just smacks of another name for friendlies, doesn't it? It really does smack of another name for friendlies. A bit pointless in my opinion, humble opinion. What's going on tonight? We've got Moldova, Andorra. We've got Latvia, North Macedonia. I mean, these games are just like amazing, aren't they? England, Greece tonight at 7:45 for those of you interested in that. And then we've got the two absolute behemoths of international football playing tonight. The two Goliaths go head to head tonight in what is going to be a fascinating game. Yes, that's right. It's Gibraltar, San Marino. Honestly, man, what a fucking joke. Finland, Ireland, Austria, Kazakhstan. Very nice. Kazakhstan. I wonder if Borat's playing for Kazakhstan. Tonight. Very nice. Israel, France, Norway, Slovenia. Faroe Islands versus Armenia. Italy v Belgium. That'll be a good one, won't it? Italy v Belgium tonight. They're the games tonight anyway that are ongoing. Scotland don't play till Saturday, where they are getting smashed off Croatia. No offense, guys, but they are getting smashed off Croatia. Are they cleaning house for a potential takeover, says John. John, I honestly don't know. That seems to be the rumor that is currently going around, that there is there is this whole kind of, the reason they're getting rid of all these people, and they haven't appointed a new CEO, and they haven't appointed a director of academy, and they haven't appointed a chairman, is that there is an offing of a takeover somewhere, that somebody is interested. I mean, there's been rumors of Far East investors. There's been rumors of American investors. I read a couple of comments the other day, actually. It's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about realistically this morning is the month ahead and what the strongest 11 is, and talk about that a little bit. Right, but just on this question, John, because you've asked the question. There's talk of a takeover. This is what's going around. At the moment, there is literally nothing in terms of concrete reports from anyone, anywhere, from any of the in the know people, from any sources leaking from the club, about a takeover. The problem with a takeover is this. This is the problem with a takeover. Now, because of the ownership model that Rangers use, it is exceptionally hard to build a, yes, Rangers would be a good club for potential investors. Absolutely, John. CJ says, I know the international break is crap, but I'm sort of glad it's a mental break of watching Rangers. Lol. Yeah, it gives us all a break, buddy, doesn't it, CJ? But yeah, John, as I was saying, look, it's a difficult club to take over, Rangers is. You'd imagine that any investor who wants to come into the club wants to own the club, right? So the investors that come in will want to own the club. They won't want the likes of the Park family sniffing around, or Dave King sniffing around, or John Bennett, or any of those people around. They'll want to take over the club lock, stock and barrel, and they'll want to own the club. Now, the issue with that is the fact that the Rangers ownership model is a bit of a shambles. It really genuinely is. Now, obviously, this all comes as a bit of a hangover, a bit of a nightmare, a bit of fallout from 2012. So, a bit of debacle of the David Murray years, the Craig White's debacle. Rangers owners are so widespread. You've got Dave King with 15%. You've got, I think, Parks have got 13%. You've got someone, I can't remember who the other. You've got somebody else who's got 12%. So you'd have to buy out a number of shareholders to get the controlling stake in the club. And it's kind of going to those shareholders and saying that this is the offer. And all those shareholders are, have got to come to an agreement on that one price. So, how difficult it is to negotiate with one person, let alone 10, 11, 12 people, all with their own needs, their own wants, their own, prices on things. And Douglas Park will have his price, Graham Park will have his price, Dave King will have his price. So there's all those different situations. So Rangers as a club will be very hard to actually take over. You'd have to kind of try, and it would take a lot of negotiation. It would be a very complicated situation to get control of the club. So, that's the only issue you've got around that takeover, is because of the fact the ownership model is such a shambles, in terms of, like I said, it's 12% here, 15% here, 13% there. Then you've got all the small shareholders, the people. You've got the fan groups that own percentages of the club as well. I can't remember. I was reading last night, Ibrox Noise or Inside Ibrox. They've got shares in Rangers, and they've said they don't want to sell theirs under any circumstances, which just shows what a pathetic bunch of losers they really are. But the situation is what it is. It is, as a club, very difficult to take over, because, like I said, you would have to kind of buy out 5 or 6 investors to actually get control. And like I said, getting a price, or one agreed price. And if you agree a price of, say, X million with the Parks, then you offer, and then Bennett says he wants X million, well, you might say, well, that might be asking for more than the Parks, or the Parks, they might come back and say, well, if he's getting X million, I want X million as well. So, it's a difficult situation to get control of this club. It really genuinely is. Ulster Beer Drinker says, shambles, the manager will be next to leave sacked. They are pretty much guaranteed European football every season. That's good for advertising, for instance. Absolutely, 100% agree, John. I'm not saying that this club isn't, right for investment and isn't right for takeover. You've got a really good potential money-making club here. You look at the merchandise sales the club takes. I think we're in the top 11 in Europe, the top 10 in Europe. Sorry, Rangers do, our top 10 in Europe in terms of merchandise sales. If we were to be in the Champions League as well, you've got Champions League money guaranteed. So, it's not as bad an investment as some people make it out to be, because it's Scottish football. And the TV deal we know is pants here. The sponsorship deals are pants here. We know that. But, with European football, with Champions League football, with the fact that merchandise sales are so good for the club, that, like I said, Rangers have our top 10 in Europe in terms of merchandise sales. Not the biggest. I think the biggest 3 are Real Madrid, Manchester United and Liverpool. They're the 3 biggest merchandise sellers in the whole of Europe. The amount of money they generate is astronomical from sales. I think can't remember reading something, but Liverpool generate over 100 million in merchandise sales. It's absolutely quite incredible how much money they generate. But yeah, it's certainly it's a money making opportunity. So it's not a bad investment. It's not as bad as everybody is. Gallant morning, buddy. How are you? The True Blue Nose, the other side. Yeah, absolutely. Look, CJ's right. Celtic, and as much as we hate Celtic, as much as we, don't like them, and you don't want to praise Celtic, their ownership model, the way they run their club clearly works. They win trophies every season. They get into the Champions League every season. Yes, they do shit in the Champions League, and it's hilarious. But they get Champions League money. Celtic are also top 10 in the world top 10 in Europe, for merchandise sales as well. I think they're above us. So, at the end of the day, there is clearly a really positive finance situation there. So they show how it can be done. I agree with this comment here. I feel the club is going nowhere until it's placed in better hands. Absolutely. Until the club is actually run by somebody, who knows what they're doing, then I think you're absolutely right. The problem we've got is we've got a board who are hideously incompetent. That every decision this board makes smacks of massive incompetence. They are so bad at running a football club. I mean, if there was if you wanted to say to someone, this is how not to run a football club, look at Rangers. That's how not to run a football club. That is genuinely how not to run a football club. It's a shambles, absolute shambles. Scottish football is limited as a brand, but Rangers are a global brand. Correct, Gallen, and that's why the merchandise sales are so fantastic worldwide. Blue Nose says Aberdeen and Hearts will be breathing down our necks if we aren't careful. I think Aberdeen certainly, John, this season, given how well Jimmy Thielen has settled in there at Aberdeen. There's too much bowling club mentality in our boardroom, mate. I couldn't have put it any better myself. It's a bunch of used car salesmen trying to run a business like a used car lot, and it really isn't a used car lot. It's a lot bigger than that, and they can't quite cope with it. Right, guys, let's have a look at this month. Morning, buddy. How you doing? Michael says, I know it's only Scottish Premier and only 2 teams that matters, but investors would get a colossal return. You were correct, Michael. They would get a colossal return. Champions League, merchandise sales, other income revenue streams. Rangers Football Club is a money-making opportunity for somebody if it's run right. And that's the key thing there. If Rangers are run right, then there is a really good opportunity there to make a shed load of cash out of the club. Genuinely, there is. Gallant says, merchandise sales are also directly impacted by how successful the team is. Look at our sales during the 90s. Our strips were some of the most sold in the entire UK. Correct, Gallant. And I think you're right. Successful Rangers do well south of the border. You look, someone who grew up, through the 80s with, the Graham Souness era. I remember seeing a lot of Rangers shirts, a lot of Rangers merchandise down here. I'm going to take this off for a minute. We are going to get to talk about that shortly. I want to talk about what you want to, you're bringing these topics up, so I'm talking about them. I remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, seeing a lot of Rangers shirts knocking around down south, and a lot of fans who were fans of Liverpool, fans of Arsenal, fans of Manchester United, fans of Chelsea, fans of Tottenham, who had Rangers as a second team. That was their team. So yeah, I mean, you're right there. You're right there. Especially after we beat Leeds in the European Cup. They've been behind a manager coaching team merry-go-round, over the top wages and contracts, inability to develop youth and academy players. It's time to freshen up. Tunnocks, I couldn't have put it better, mate. There is a need for a massive overhaul. It's like I said on the video yesterday. It needs a reset. It needs a reset, and not a little tinkering reset. It needs open heart surgery. It really genuinely does need open heart surgery. It needs everything ripping out and new stuff putting in everywhere in terms of how to run the club and to put things in place. And I think that's why, because of the fact that we don't have a head of academy, we don't have a football director of football, we don't have a CEO, we don't have a chairman, we don't have a B team manager, we don't have any of those things. That I think that's why there's kind of this rumor going around that the decks are being cleared, ready for a takeover, so that whoever comes in can put in their own people. Won't be long until the fans start voting with their feet as well. I predict Ibrox to start looking more empty by the week, unfortunately. Why are the majority of fans not up in arms with the state of our club? It's worse now than when we were in the 3rd division, because we have no hope. Plus the kits weren't cheap knockoffs. You didn't have to pay extra for the players kit. This is the worst. Yeah, I agree, mate. It is very badly run. I'll sound biased here, but our kits are genuinely some of the best ever, especially during the 90s. Absolute iconic kits. Yeah, I mean, the Gaza one, the Gaza Loudred one, the one I'm on about, or the one with the collar as well, that looks like the France shirt. That was nice. Certainly some good kits. Blue Nose says, we need a global kit manufacturer, not Castor. That would make it easier to buy the kit abroad. I see Celtic stuff galore being sold on German websites as they've got Adidas. Yeah, I agree. Adidas, Nike, all major world sports brands, major marketable world sports brands. So yeah, I would agree that any future kit deal, and I think the Castor deal is heading towards an end. We do need to look at the likes, obviously, of Nike and Adidas as potential kit makers, because, like I said, Nike and Adidas have a global appeal. They really do have a global appeal. And if you look at the majority of trainers and sportswear, non-team based sportswear that's sold in the UK and sold across Europe, you're looking at Adidas, you're looking at Nike, obviously, as well. Yeah, Nike, please. I would love Nike. I'm a big Nike fan. We were Castor's guinea pig. I'm sure they were the first ever football kits, club kit supplier. We need a sponsor by Lacoste. Ugh, no thanks. Lacoste is shabby shit. Acoustic, I hate Lacoste. Absolute shabby shit. Right, let's move it along. So, look, this month is upcoming for the club. Again, we have 4 big fixtures this month upcoming. 4 big fixtures upcoming. I want what Napoli have. Armani, lol. We need a proper people on our board. Yeah, absolutely, we do need that. It's the quality of Castor is awful. I've had labels fall off tops after a year, whereas my old retro Umbro Puma tops are in top condition. Yeah, that's obviously quality products. But then again, CJ, everything is cheap and nasty these days, isn't it? Right, so what is upcoming for the club? Now, you look on the face of things, you look at that, and again, it's 4 wins or bust yet again. And it's sad that, that it seems that at the moment, given the league position we're in, given the way that the Europa League has started with 1 win, 1 hideous defeat, we've kind of come into this, this position of being win or bust again. And you look at the month after November, the November's even busier, and it has a hell of a lot of tough games upcoming in November. Particularly in the Europa League. So what's upcoming after the international break? So first up, obviously, is Kilmarnock v Rangers on Sunday the 20th at 12 o'clock. Now, what makes this difficult, of course, is the whole situation around the fact that we have to go and play on that horrible plastic pitch at Livy. Now, this is. I mean, it's not great. I mean, I honestly thought that would be gone this season. Yeah, Gallant, you're right. Kilmarnock away, Aberdeen away. Look, Kilmarnock haven't really started very well this season. I think they won their first game last weekend. I think, Killie have kind of suffered a little bit with the whole European hangover. I don't think that Kilmarnock have really coped with that. But now they haven't got that European headache. I think you're going to start to see them having more of a focus on the league, having more of a kind of a drive to be successful in the league. So, I can see Killie starting to turn this around and start to move forward. Now, that will be an incredibly tough game. Now, coming back off international break as well, I think, you'll find, obviously, that a lot of the Killie players have not been on international duty, whereas we've had 11 away on international duty. So you've got a fatigue there. You've got players who haven't had a rest. They're coming back to the club. Now, I think the good thing about this fixture for me is that the game is on a Sunday, not a Saturday. So it's not a Saturday 12 o'clock. I think if it was a Saturday 12 o'clock, then you'd want to worry. But you look at the league as it stands at the moment, and Killie are down in 9th at the moment. They had started. I think they have started to turn their early season form around. Obviously they started off with defeats. They started off with 3 defeats, which was I think a surprise given how well Killie did last year. In the league, finishing obviously in the top 4. So this season they've played 7, they've won 1, drawn 3, lost 3, and their form in their last 5 has certainly picked up. Yes, they had that defeat, but then you've got 3 draws and a win. They did win their last game, their last time out. That game obviously was, I think it was a 3-2 victory. It was for Killie, over Dundee. You see their goals coming from Mark Kennedy and Bruce Anderson. All those goals came incredibly late on in that game. Dundee were actually 2-0 up in that game. Have Kilmarnock finally found a way to turn the corner and, get and turn this round. So that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one, a really tough one. Let's have a look at what we've got so far. Comments. 2026, I think Kilmarnock get rid of the plastic pitch. So a bit of time to wait yet. Gallant. I can honestly see us dropping points at Killy and the Sheep, says Ulster Beer Drinker. Let's hope we are killing the Sheep. I'm hoping it's not Killy Pie for Sunday lunch that day. We are awful with these 12:30 kickoff times. I think, you're going to go there and it'll be just a case of, that we have to do one of those jobs, don't we? We have to do one of those turn up 3 points and up the road jobs. I think that's what it's going to have to be, a tough game. So it's a tough start. I mean, it's a game we've got to win. It's a game we've got to win. I mean, I'll be honest with you. My worry is that Kilmarnock are starting to turn the corner a little bit. They're improving. They've got some players. That's a good question, Gallant. I'll get back to you on that one. Games like Ross County and St Johnstone at home are comfort zone for Clermont. Absolutely. Now, I can honestly see us dropping points at Killy. I can see that being a draw. I can see that actually being a draw. Kilmarnock, like I said, I think are getting over that European hangover that they had. They were struggling, I think, with the 3 games in a week. So I do think that could be a draw. I think they'll be bang up for it. I think they'll be banging in our faces. And if we perform like we did against Hibs, we perform like we did against St Johnstone, I can actually see Killy getting something in that game. I really, really genuinely can. Then it's the Europa. There we go. Clement got a 1-1 draw at Aberdeen last season. There we go. I'd forgotten about that, John, I must admit. Rangers versus what we've got. Gallant says, Clement fails to win these games, then I think he'll be living on a game-to-game basis as far as the fans are concerned. I agree. I just think the moment, if we don't turn up and perform to the best of our abilities, and Killy it seems, improving, then I genuinely can see us losing that game. Not losing, actually drawing that game, not losing. I don't think we'll draw, but I do think that we will actually draw that game. I think that is a strong possibility that could end in a draw. So for me, that could be a draw. Then we play Steaua Bucharest at home. I must admit, I know absolutely jack all about Steaua Bucharest. I think Yanis Hadji's obviously gutted that he can't play against them. Given the fact that obviously it was his dad's team. His dad is a Steaua man, so I think he will be disappointed that he is not having a chance to play in that game. But he's not part of the Euro squad, not because of his suspension. FCSB are currently 7th in their domestic league, not doing particularly well this season. Look, Rangers play on the whole do play better in Europe. So I can actually see us winning that game on the 24th. I do think we could win that game. I do think that will be a win. Get us back to winning ways in the Europa League. Like I said, I've only just had a quick look at FCSB. But I do think that could be a win, for Rangers. Then St Mirren at home. Look, no disrespect to St Mirren, I don't have the same worry about St Mirren that I have about Killy, about Aberdeen. In terms of that, I just genuinely don't have that same concern about St Mirren. I know that they've got a decently organised team. They're sitting 6th at the moment in the league. They've won 2, drawn 2, lost 4. They lost their last game, which was a 2-1 defeat at Motherwell, who Motherwell are now up to 4th. I just think we'll win that one. I think, they come to Ibrox. Their Ibrox record is awful. It's at home. We'll have just enough, I think, to get past it. I don't think it'll be a great game. I don't think it'll be a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think we'll win the game, or nonetheless. I do think that's going to be a win. Tunux says, I hate talking about Dessers now, but he doesn't offer an outball, sticks like glue to defenders, so he's never there for a pass, doesn't create gaps, so we're always going to struggle unless this changes. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Tunux. I've spoken about Dessers an awful lot and got a lot of criticism over Cyril Dessers. Dessers is average. That's what he is. He's a very average footballer. who can do it, who is a flat track bully. He can do it against rubbish teams, but he can't do it against good teams. He can't. His control is piss poor. He can't hold the ball up. His movement is poor, and all you ever hear from the Dessa's defenders is he works really hard. He runs around a lot. He works hard. Well, I could get you a fan out of the stand who would work really, really hard. That's not what he's in the team for. So, I mean, personally, I don't rate Cyril Dessers. I think as long as Cyril Dessers is our centre forward, we'll never win the league because we'll never have a goal scorer who's going to get you 25 to 30, who's going to score goals when it really matters, score goals when the pressure's on. If Dessers is our centre forward for the next 3-4 years, Celtic win the league. Simple as. The fans will turn on Clement, but I think the club will ignore us this time and give him the season regardless. It was Goldson's mistake that allowed Miovski the opening. Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Dessers is a backup striker you bring on against Ross County or something, not when you're trying to win titles and overthrow Celtic. Very, very true. Wouldn't score goals with a ballerina. Dessers is shit. I mean, I don't rate Dessers, and I know there is a lot of Rangers fans that do rate Dessers, and I get slagged off for slagging off Cyril Dessers, but, you know, he is poor. He is a very poor forward. He is a backup centre forward. I don't think he was ever signed as a starting centre forward. I don't think he was ever intended to be a starting centre forward, if I'm being really honest about it. Right, the last game of October is a very tough one. It is an away trip to Aberdeen. Now, Aberdeen will have already played Celtic before they play us. They play Celtic on the 19th, Saturday the 19th. Chris Boyd was talking the other day, and he said that he hopes that it ends as a draw. So he hopes that Celtic beat Aberdeen. I personally hope it ends as a draw. That would suit Rangers far more if it ends as a draw, because then, therefore, both teams would be 6 points ahead of us coming into that game. If we were to beat Killie, then we would be only 3 points between Celtic, Aberdeen, and Rangers, which I think would be better for us. Yes, if Aberdeen lose, we beat Killie. We go 2 points behind them, but we're still 5 points behind Celtic. And realistically, you do need to take points, or Celtic to drop points, not just against us, but against other teams. So realistically, a draw would be a better result. Do I think it's going to be a draw? No, of course I don't think it's going to be a draw. Aberdeen will do their usual. They'll go and lay down and die like they always do against Celtic, and then they'll play us on the 30th, and they'll play like prime Barcelona, prime Real Madrid, because they always do. Because I'll be honest with you, if I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd be suicidal. But if I was an Aberdeen fan, I would actually be really angry with my team, because they only try against us. They don't try against anyone else. If they put the same effort, if Aberdeen played with the same effort they do against us, against every team in the Premier League, they'd be challenging for the league title every season. They genuinely would. Gallant says Celtic will put 4 or 5 past Aberdeen. Aberdeen just never get fired up for that fixture. Correct. They'll play like men possessed on the 30th. They will. Agree. A 0-0 or 1-1 will be perfect for me anyways. I think I'm talking about that Celtic Aberdeen game. Oh, we need to go, but for your information, I've not been getting YouTube alerts for your videos. Subscribed and the bell is toggled. Cheers. I don't know why that's happening, mate. Do apologise for that. I will have a look into that. But yeah, so look, at the end of the day, I honestly believe that this game is massive. This game on the 30th is absolutely massive. And it could be the beginning of the end for Philippe Clement. I think if he goes there and we lose to Aberdeen and they go, they obviously will extend their lead over us. Even if the situation is it's down to 2 points, if they lose, if like they probably will lose to Celtic, and but it goes back up to 5 points. I genuinely can see us finishing third. I mean, Aberdeen will get a confidence from that. They'll get a confidence from beating us. And I'll be honest, if we play like we did against Hibs, if we play like we did against St Johnstone, we're going to find beating Aberdeen very hard. Aberdeen are doing well this season. They're playing good football this season. They're playing winning football this season. That's the key thing. Jimmy Thielen, their new manager's come in. He's put a new style in place. He's put a new shape in place. And it's quite weird, really, that we've been here since Clement's been here since the end of last season, and we still haven't got a shape, a style, a formation that works. Yet Jimmy Thielen's been here 5 minutes and he's already got them playing. I don't get it personally. I just think that maybe Clement's a shit coach, like everyone says he is. Gallant says, you nailed it there, Aaron, when you said it could be the beginning of the end if we lose to Aberdeen. The fans will simply not accept being second best to Aberdeen. Correct. I personally think it'll end as a draw. I think it'll end as a draw. I genuinely think it will be a draw. Now, if we were to come out of this month with 2 draws and 2 wins, that is not good enough, especially when Clement has pretty much condemned himself out of his own mouth. Now, if I could just take you back to the start of the season, Philippe Clement said that you would not see the best of Rangers until October and November. Now, if we are not getting full points, 9 points out of the 3 league games from these 3 fixtures, and we're only taking 5, then Clement is going to look like a complete and utter mug. He is genuinely going to look like a complete and utter mug because he's the one that said that we will see the best of Rangers in October, November. And if we don't beat Killie, we don't beat Aberdeen, I think we will beat St Mirren. But if we don't beat Killie and Aberdeen, then I honestly can believe that Clement's going to put himself under a lot of pressure by his own words, because he was the one that came out and said you will see the best of Rangers in October, November. So he's put the pressure on himself there with that comment. You know, these 3 games that we play in, these 3 league games, I mean, forget the Steaua Bucharest game for a minute, but these 3 league games that we play in October, you need to start to see a shape, a style, attacking football, chance creation, clinical finishing. You need to start to see all those elements, because he said, and I quote, you will see the best of Rangers in October and November. So there's no more excuses. There's no more, they need time to gel. It's got to be done. Gallant says, I reckon if Thielen is still going strong with Aberdeen by Christmas, we should go get him. Interesting shout there, Gallant. Clement has put necessary pressure on himself by saying, we'll see. He has, absolutely, Gallant. He has put massive pressure on himself. And like I said, if we do not go on and, you know, see that in these games in October, we don't come out with 3 wins out of 3, then he has pretty much screwed himself over. He really genuinely has. You know, if it ends up with a situation where we were to lose one of those games, or even, like I said, draw both of those games, he's put himself in that position, not us. I wonder if any of the fan media will ask Clement at the next press conference, are we now going to see the best of Rangers, as you said earlier? Mate, Ulster beer drinker, not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell, because they haven't got the fucking balls to do it. I don't believe a word that comes out of Clement or the board's mouth. There's Gary. Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy? I mean, Clement has been here a year, had 2 transfer windows at pre-season. They've beaten Celtic and spent roughly 15 million. We should be seeing much more by now. I agree. And it's excuse after excuse after excuse. Right, strongest team. I honestly believe in this month of October, these next 4 games, we need to play our strongest team in those games. You know, no messing around, no fannying around, no stupid rotations. Play your strongest team. Play your strongest team. Right, let's look at this. First things first, James Tavernier has got to be dropped for the Killie game and has got to be dropped for the Aberdeen game. If James Tavernier starts the Aberdeen game and the Killie game, we will not win them. I would start Big Cass at right back. He's looked good when he's come on. He's done well when he's come on. He's played well. He's been quality. Big Cass, for me, is the best right back at the club. He looks good. I'd put him in there. I'd definitely be putting him in there. I think Cash should start every game. He looks extremely comfortable and confident. I agree with you, Gallant. Suter and Proper look like the defensive pairing going forward. So I think, we go with them 2. Left back, you can play Ridvan or Hjefte. I don't think it matters there. I think they're pretty much of a muchness. So you go with Hjefte or Ridvan. So if anyone comes back, Hjefte or Ridvan. I'm not even going to write that down just so I don't get hammered by somebody for it. That's how paranoid I'm becoming. That's either Hefte or Ridvan to start on left back. I don't think it matters there. Midfield 3. I want to see a form. You can see I've lined this up differently. I want to see a formation change. I don't want to see the 4-2-3-1 any. I'm not dropping him. I've just said that, Gary. I said Hefte or Ridvan. Doesn't matter who. Gallant says here he's dreading Tottenham at home if Tav starts. Postecoglou will send absolutely everything down Tav's side. Mate, can I just ask you this, Gallant and live chat? Who plays on the left of Spurs attacking 3? Who is the left-sided player on Tottenham's attacking 3 who will be head-to-head and up against James Tavernier in that game? Who is their player who is on the left side? Answers in the live chat. Midfield 3. I thought Raskan did very well as a 6 in that game against St Johnstone. Yes, I know it was only St Johnstone. I like Raskan. I think he's a good player. I think he uses the ball well. I think he can go box to box. I think he's a very good player. I also like Barron when he came on playing in that slightly more advanced role. So for me, I would like to see a midfield three with Barron given a bit more license to get forward. Dio as the most advanced player from that three, not as a 10, as an 8, but Dio in that more advanced position. Correct. Congratulations to the Trying Scotsman. The left-handed sided player for Tottenham in their attacking three is Hyung Son Min, their best player. He is one of the best players in Europe. One of the best players in the world. Yeah, absolutely. He will be. So, yeah, Son up against Tav. Son will absolutely rip Tav inside out, back to front, and every which way. Son will rip Tav a new arsehole. He really will. And then 3, Tierney right, Bayrami left, and Hamza up top. I want to see Hamza get a chance to play. Hamza, for me, is better than Dessers because of the fact that he can hold a ball up. He can, he can actually use the ball well. He can play a pass. He can do all the things you want a centre forward to do. And, Rangers need to have someone out there as an outball, especially against these tougher teams. Have someone out there as an outball. And Hamza does that a lot better than Dessers. You watch Dessers, the ball goes up to him, it bounces off him in every damn direction. It doesn't stick. He couldn't trap a bag of cement, Dessers. So for me, I'd go with Hamza up top and start seeing if we can see the best of Hamza. This kid is supposedly, one of the best talented youngsters around. So, yes, he is slightly undercut Galland, but Dessers is just shit. He's not the best. I mean, yes, he is the best we have, but that's like being the best looking in the Burns ward, isn't it? I mean, saying Cyril Dessers is the best centre forward at Rangers is like saying that the guy with 3rd degree burns is probably the best looking guy in the Burns ward because other guys have all got second and 1st degree burns, isn't it? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It is pretty bad, isn't it? It's like getting stuck with a ladyboy at the end of the night, isn't it? It's not great. It really isn't. But that's where we're up to with this. And Dessers is just shit. He is just shit. He really is a piss poor player. And I think some people, I think he gets an easy ride of things because he's such a nice guy. But there's a lot of nice guys out there, and as we know, nice guys finish second. That's just the way things are, unfortunately, in this world. Morning, John. How you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. But those are the 3 games, and I realistically, I can see us dropping points against Killie. I can see us dropping points at Aberdeen. But if the Aberdeen game had been at Ibrox, I would be slightly more confident. But with the fact that it's at Pittodrie, that does worry me ever so slightly. That really does worry me. Especially given the fact that they're in such good form. I mean, you don't know. I mean, let's face it, it could be a situation where they get a confidence knock when they lose to Celtic, which they will lose to Celtic. Why is everyone worried? We've got Tav at the back and Dessers up front. True, Michael. We've got the world at our feet. James Tavernier. I don't know. It's mad. I mean, people. I mean, the Tav fanboys would have you believe we struggle at Pittodrie even with better Rangers teams. Very true, mate. I mean, the Tav fanboys would have you believe that you look at Tav's numbers and Tav's one of the best right backs. It should be in the England team, but when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold in front of you, you've got absolutely no chance. Trent Alexander-Arnold, that's what a right back is. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold, you look at his numbers, over 100 goals and assists for Liverpool in the Premier League and the Champions League. That's quality. Tav's numbers are against shit Scottish teams. So, that's just the way things are. I mean, you look ahead, what is upcoming once we get out of October. We've got the semi-final against Motherwell away. I've seen Motherwell at Rangers at Hampden. And then you look at some of the games that are coming up after that. Olympiacos away. I can't see us beating Olympiacos away. Olympiacos, in Piraeus are very, very, very good team, dangerous team. Rangers Hearts. I mean, you've got to say that Ibrox, we should be beating Hearts, especially given how poor they are, still managerless. Dundee United at home again, we should be winning that. Nice away. Again, someone criticised me yesterday for saying that Nice are a good team. Nice are, okay, I'll rephrase that. Nice are a better team than Rangers. And Nice are a more expensive team than Rangers. I mean, the Nice squad is worth 215 million euro. 215 million euro. Ours is worth 80. Ours is worth 80 million euro. Just do the math there for a minute. Then it's St Johnstone away. Again, I think that's a game we should be winning. And then, that's in the 1st of December. So, even the month of November, there are two very tough Europa League games there. You then go into December, got Killy at home. Again, that's a game we should be winning. Ross County away, a game we should be winning. But then the 12th of December, a very tough game against Tottenham. I think Tottenham will rip us apart. The cup final then could be around the 14th, 15th, 16th, whenever it is. If we get to the cup final, 21st against Dundee, 26th Boxing Day against St Mirren away, and then Motherwell away. So there's a lot coming up over November, December as well. Some very tough games. Gary says this. He says, let's all ask ourselves this question. Clement won't last the season, will he? I think he will, Gary, just because I think the board can't afford to sack him. I'll be honest with you, Gary. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've backed him so far, but if we were to lose to Celtic at Ibrox on the 2nd of January, he has to be sacked. There can be no debate. There can be no discussion. If he loses again to Celtic on the 2nd, then his record against Celtic is absolutely shocking. And I'm sorry, you can take the moral victory out of it, which was embarrassing when he came out with that comment. He's got to go. If we lose to Celtic on the 2nd, he has got to go. In fact, I'll go as far as to say if we don't beat Celtic on the 2nd, he's got to go. I can't believe there is still Tav fanboys. There's nowhere left to hide for justifying Tav anymore. He's even lost his offensive qualities. Not with the board. Yeah, I agree with that point. The Tottenham game has the potential to be a hammering. I agree. That has potential to be a Dortmund-Celtic type hammering. The next few games after the break, the game against the Sheep, what is the one we must win? We can't afford to fall any more behind the Sheep. It's bad enough falling the way behind that lot. Agreed. He's got to beat that mob. If we beat the Sheep, it would be a massive confidence booster. I agree. Absolutely. Clement needs to beat Celtic on the 2nd. He can't get 6 cracks at Celtic with no wins. Correct. Like I said to you, I'll be absolutely honest with you. If we don't beat Celtic, I'm not saying draw. I'm not saying don't lose. I'm saying if we don't beat them, then he's got to go. A draw is not good enough. It is just simply is not good enough. If we don't beat Celtic on the 2nd, he has to be sacked on the 3rd. That is a fact, because he would then prove that he cannot beat Celtic. And like I've said a number of times, what has been proven is this: if you can't beat Celtic as a Rangers manager, you will not last as a Rangers manager. So that's my take on it. Anyway, that's my take on it. You might disagree with that. You might not agree. Not agree with that. Let's have a quick poll to finish off. Actually, probably just discussion about a couple of other things, and then I'm going to put a quick poll up, and I want to get you voting in this poll. Let me just quickly find it and pull a poll up. So I'm going to do a quick poll on the Clement Celtic situation. Just talk to you. I want you to talk to me about that. So let's just get a poll going. Let's have a look. Quickly find the live. Use it on my channel. The way you do it is you've got to go into your YouTube channel to set your poll up. You can't set the poll up on StreamYard, guys. You've got to set it up on YouTube, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But there we go. Let's have a little look here, shall we? Where is it? Here we go. Here we go. Yes, here we go. I agree with you. Yeah, we've got to beat Aberdeen at the end of the month. I think if we don't beat Aberdeen at the end of the month, then Clement's in a lot of trouble. It could be the beginning of the end for him. It really could. And if we lose to Celtic, if we don't beat Celtic, then I think, then yeah, I agree. He's making a rod. He really genuinely is making a rod for his own back. It could be the beginning of the end for Clement. And I think the board have kind of painted themselves into a bit of a bad position, really, haven't they? We really have. Paid ourselves into a really bad position with this. But, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. It is what it is. And look, here's the question. The question is, if Rangers don't win against Celtic, sorry about that, win against Celtic on the 2nd, does Clement need to be sacked? Okay, that's the question. Yes or no? A simple yes or no, guys. Poll is now up. What have we got? Gallant says here, Celtic have come to Ibrox and beaten us with not a single fan in our ground. That's unacceptable. Agreed. They've come in. Yeah, absolutely they have. be all and end all. We've got to beat Celtic and everything. Clem on the players don't understand this. Agreed. Exactly. Bobby makes a brilliant point here. He doesn't learn against them. Absolutely. I think the issue you've got there is that Clement is, as a manager, isn't learning against Celtic. He really genuinely isn't learning against Celtic. We do the same thing over and over again against them. It doesn't work. It's definition of insanity. It really genuinely is. Trying Scotsman says, we can't sack PC. No, we've no money or board. Gallant says, Clement and Tav see Celtic as just another team in the league. They don't subscribe to the passionate hatred and how important it is to beat them. I would have to say I do agree with that comment there. They definitely don't. Trying Scotsman, if it comes to a point where there is no choice to sack him, the board will have to find the money to do it. You could, of course, stagger the payments as well. I mean, that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but you can, of course, go for that process where you say, well, actually, we're going to pay you off monthly or yearly. So there we go. To be honest, I think it's only a matter of time before Clement is removed. I've watched Rangers for 25 years and seen this movie before. I know how it ends. He deserves to be sacked already, but if we're given the board's backing until the crowds empty at Ibrox, I think that could be a deciding factor when people start to vote with their feet. We play into their hands every time, and honestly, the team doesn't believe they can beat them. The game's lost before a ball is kicked. I think there could be some truth in that one, mate. I really do. There is a kind of psychological impairment that comes up against playing against Celtic. There really is, and it is a worry. And I think a lot does depend on what team he picks. If he plays Tav, Maida will absolutely have a field day again. Clement knows Maida cooks Tav, but still doesn't make any contingency plan to protect Tav or counter Maida. Correct. Clement's tactics are very powder puff and easy to play up against, unfortunately. The way I hopefully look at it is everyone leaving. Does that mean there's a takeover coming from the top? We were talking about at the start of the podcast, Bobby. Plus, our captain is afraid of Celtic, so we're beaten before a ball is kicked. Arnie says, morning, Arnie. With a team full of mediocre players and a board full of numpties, nothing's going to change soon, and the fans are already voting with their feet. Guys, the poll is up and running at this moment in time. Currently, some interesting comments here. 78% of you say yes, he does need to be sacked. 22% of you say no. So Clemens quite clearly has some fans still in the live chat. Wow, amazing. Tav his proper shit house. He is really at the moment, isn't he? Right, guys, that is it for this morning. Thank you to everyone who has joined me and obviously has contributed to the live chat. Thank you so much for trying to bring all your comments up. So I was just out of the hospital, dog bite me, had to get an IV. Oh, sorry about it, mate. Hope you and the dog are okay. Hope you and the dog are okay. I don't know why I've still got that up. I'll get rid of that. But yeah, that's all good, man. All good. Don't worry about it. Right. Okay. Yeah, possibly, mate. Possibly. Okay, thank you for watching. Please obviously smash a like, sub to the channel, help the channel to keep on growing, guys. As always, please remember, we are the people.